All right, sorting bullets. So this is not going to be a video about the merits of one way versus the other. Obviously there's base to tip measuring, there's base to ogive, there's tip to ogive, there's bearing surface. There's a lot of different ways that people will decide how they want to sort their bullets, and for that matter, some people don't even sort them at all. So this is not really a debate about that, and however you feel about it's fine, because this machine will sort just about any way that you want. Now, it is a standard block of granite that comes pre-made with this rod and connector, and connected to it is a digital gauge. Now, plugged into it is this cord that you see over here, and it has a little Raspberry Pi unit that is attached to it that was going to connect to my app. You do not want to connect through the phone Bluetooth. You want to connect in the app. And so this is put out by Sorteez. They're also the people that do one of the barrel coolers out there that you might have seen. It's the big yellow one. They're kind of I think one of the first people that really put out a barrel cooler. But what they've done is they've taken what is a otherwise standard digital bullet comparator and found a way to make it somewhat idiot proof once you figure out how to use it. It is not for the faint of heart. It is not going to be as simple as something like the Holland unit. Because it is through an app, there is some programming. I shouldn't say programming, but there's some parameters that you have to enter. And as such, it does take a little bit of finessing to do. So you have a new profile in here. You have saved profiles, new sessions, and saved sessions. Now, because of the way that these gauges work and because they are so detail accurate, I have found it nearly impossible to use saved profile or saved session. I have never been able to pick this unit up and use it again for another batch of bullets, but I also usually sort around 1,000 to 1,500 bullets at a time. So for me, starting a new profile and a new session each time isn't that big a deal. So let me kind of show you what's involved here. Now, for the sake of the video, it's not really important that you see the digital face. All you need to really know is that it does go down to 3 decimal places, so down to the thousandths. And it does have an inch versus millimeter, and on off, and a 0 out. So what I just did a second ago is I zeroed it out and switched it to inch. And we're gonna go into new profile, and we're just gonna call it video. And then there is what is asking for a bin count. So that is how many different groups do you want it to be sorted into. Now keep in mind that whatever you choose, it is technically going to add 2 more bins to it for anything under your bin assignments and anything over your bin assignments. So in my particular case, I'm going to choose 5 bins, which really means I have 7 cups out here. So I have A through E, which you'll see why that's important in a second, plus a minus, and then plus a plus. Now I need to change the units to inches, and then I need to enter a minimum value and a maximum value. So how do we know what that is? Well, it changes every time. I have taken out about a dozen bullets from, I've got, like I said, 1,500 bullets here. I've taken out a good chunk of the bullets, randomly, like a box here, a box there, and then pulled out a bullet from each of them. So this should represent a good sampling of what is available in there. I'm going to put it on my measuring thing, and I'm just gonna write down the numbers real quick. So you'll kind of see here, and I won't do all of them, but it'll give you an idea. So 132.0, I just had a 128.5. Obviously this is all point whatever, 0.128. And what I'm looking for is just what's the general distribution. There's another 128. I'm really looking for what's the high and low in this distribution without any really crazy, outliers. So like here's a 123. I don't know that I really think that that's a legitimate sampling. So I tend to leave those out when I've been measuring in the 128 to 132 range. Now if I find more that are in that range, there's a 127. And a 125.5. So we've got quite a distribution here, and that's okay because that's the whole point of sorting bullets. Here's a 130.5. or a .13005, I should say. There's another 128, so I don't really care about writing that down. So once I kind of start doing this, I kind of know what my low spot is at 125.5. I know I've got a 132 up here. So if I don't get anything that's above or below that, I don't really write it down. Because again, I'm just sort of looking for the average distribution. So you can see that, you know, after these bullets, these are all in the 127, 128 range. And then another 125.5. So I feel pretty good about the numbers I have. So my low is going to be a .1255 and my high was a .1320. Now, again, that 132 might have been a little bit high. I had a 135, 1305 that is. And I didn't really have anything that replicated the 132. I did have some other ones that were right around the 130. So what I'm probably going to decide to do is I'm going to probably consider that 1320 an outlier on the plus side. And so I'm going to take this .1305 as my high mark. So now that I have the 1255 and the 1305, I know my basic distribution values. And I always go south like half a thousandths or, you know, maybe a thousandths if I want to. But on this side, I'm going to do .1250. And then because I took off half a thousandths, and then on the top end, I'm going to do 131 because I've added half a thousandths to the top end. So I've just built a little extra buffer. Now you're going to hit this. You're going to hit this right here that says autofill. And now you can see that there are bins A, B, C, D, and E, which are corresponding to my A, B, C, D, and E here. And then of course there will be a plus and a minus once we're done. So that's everything that's here. Now I'm going to save this profile. Profile saved. And now I want to start a new session. So I'll just call this session today. Number of measurements. I'm only taking one measurement, which is the base to tip. Now, this thing technically can let you do multiple measurements and create multiple bins at the same time. I don't really care, and it's not really something I'm into. So I'm going to choose the profile called video that's on here. So I have today, one measurement, and video profile 1. And I'm going to save that. And that's going to open up the session. Now, I do need to come down here and hit connect. And it is going to look, now it pulls up all the Bluetooth devices that are in the area. I'm looking for the one called Sorteez. And now it says I'm connected. So here's what's going to happen. I stick a bullet in here. And I hit start. Had a little hang up and something got unplugged without me realizing it. So I got it all reset up. I have that session going now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick a bullet in here. And then you will see the start button. You hit start and it says E. So now I simply take that and I put it in the E cup. Here's the next one. Another E. D. C. There's a little detent on the end of this cap that I'm making sure the bullet goes in. D. And in order to do base to tip, I'll kind of explain here in a second a couple different things, but there's an A. And, you know, we could keep going for the next 1,500 bullets, but I think you guys probably have better things to do today. So what that does is that's then going to create bin counts. So I have 2 in A, 1 in C, 2 in D, 3 in E. As I go through them all, it will count it out for me so I know how many I have in all my various boxes. I just keep the burger boxes and I just put tape on the front with what letter they fall into. And I've got, whatever, 12 or 15 boxes to split it all, or probably 20 at this point, split it all back into. It also gives you the average of your measurements and then the global min, global max of them. So it really gives you a lot of information. I don't necessarily use it all. It does have an undo, so if you happen to screw up one, you can undo it so it doesn't mess up your counts. As far as the actual machine goes, and I know I keep calling it a machine, but you know, it is what it is. You've got your digital piece here. Now this is threaded at the bottom of the gauge, And I have a little piece of plastic glued to the end of a threaded screw. And it has just a slight detent on the bottom so that it captures the tip of my bullet. And then this gasket at the bottom with this threaded unit is all something that I installed. It normally is just a flat block of granite, and so you could just stand it up underneath if you wanted to. I just wanted something that would help center the bullet each time, like that. If you wanted to, you can also do base to ogive by using this. So I would unscrew this and I could put this down, place my bullet into my Sinclair comparator here, or whatever comparator you want to use, and put it in there, and then I would simply put it under the gauge, and I would use the exact same methodology, and it would let me sort base to ogive. If you have any other comparator units, as long as they fit under the maximum height of this when it's compressed, you can use it. So if you have some kind of a bearing surface measuring device, if you want to measure tip to ogive, whatever it is, if you have two pieces that when coupled will fit under this as it's raised, then you can use this unit to compare it. And that's one of the things I really like about it, is it gives the end user the flexibility to decide what kind of sorting they think is important to them and what they want to do. It is not without its faults. It is very picky when it comes to the parameters and having to enter them correctly. Occasionally I'll forget to hit inches and it'll be on millimeter, and in that case there's no ability to edit a profile easily, so I just basically delete it and then put in a whole new profile. So that's kind of annoying. I do find that there is something in this connection to the Raspberry Pi block, like earlier in the video, where it becomes slightly disconnected. So it's not a perfect unit. I think it runs around 140 bucks with the stand, which is on par with other comparators. And if that's something you're looking for, it's a good unit to go with.